You know, sometimes I wish I didn't put my garden office so far away. Oh, it's cold. Oh, it's cold. Alexa, turn the heat on. So your GoPro is freezing, huh? Well, trust me, I feel your pain. And about 12 months ago, I did a video on what I thought was a real good fix. And it certainly did stop my GoPro from freezing for an awful long time. But since I've done that video, it's still doing it.
Here's a great example. I was doing a video on how to clean a component on a Mercedes.
So at least I've got a plan B and a spare.
And as you can see, I go to leave the vehicle and I go to close the door. Now you can hear the door close, but the door is frozen and the continuation of the audio you can hear is going on, but the screen, the video itself has frozen with the door sort of half open, half closed. Very frustrating. I continue to talk for probably about 5 minutes and I've wasted all of that footage.
And I have found the reason why. Don't worry, I'm gonna not bore you anymore. I'm gonna get straight into it. GoPros for me, I've kind of had their day now. I really have lost confidence in them. I'm now using an excellent little Action 4 Osmo by DJI because I got the drones and the cameras are really good. I'm now using, and this video is being recorded by, and I hadn't even got a microphone on. It's recording by the Action 4. I'm not affiliated, it's the DJI Osmo Action 4. They're smaller than the GoPro, they last longer than the GoPro, they are a hell of a lot more stable, the most important thing, they never freeze, they are great, but that's not today's video, I'm just going to use it as an example. If you've got a GoPro and it's frozen and you followed my previous video, I showed you how to turn off certain settings. In a nutshell, it was the wireless and the GPS settings. And it's very important, and I'm sure you've read this in loads of places online, to get yourself a really good professional SD card. I've got a SanDisk Extreme Pro, and even though I've got the best SD card that I can find, that money can buy, it still gives me freezing issues. But there is one thing, and I haven't seen any videos talking about this, so I'm going to get straight into it. Do this, give your GoPro one last chance, and see if you can get it to stop freezing. So have a look at this. So whilst investigating the whole problem of why GoPros freeze, I actually contacted a number of repair centres and I got some really good information, and they actually said that they've almost kind of given up trying to repair GoPros because it can be a software issue. It can also be an issue down to how the electronics inside, there's very small little ribbon cables that go on the processor unit that can get disrupted if the GoPro is dropped, which kind of like is a little bit counterintuitive because the whole point of a GoPro, an action camera, and to keep a case on it is to give it the robustness that you can use it in action situations. But from talking to some of these repair centres, they said some of the older original GoPros are far more stable than the newer ones. They found that the GoPro Hero 9, the GoPro 5, 3 and the 7, I don't know why I've remembered it in that order, are actually a lot more stable than some of the newer models. One of the things I also noticed is that GoPro, especially in recent times with like Black Friday and stuff, there's some massive discounts and it's very tempting to go buy a GoPro, but you know what, I ain't doing it anymore. I've wasted so much footage with them freezing on me that I've now completely moved over to DJI. So I'm going to try one thing for you, and it's all about the formatting and how you do it properly. This is something that I've learned from experience. So get your GoPro and try this. But the first thing you want to do is make sure you got yourself a decent, proper, top of the range, no expense spared SD card. I believe that the SD card by SanDisk, which is the Extreme Pro, is the better one to get. Don't get one that's too big because they take forever to format it. Get one that's a decent size, maybe 128 gigabyte, maybe half that, maybe around about 50-60 gigabytes. Otherwise you'll be there all day because you're gonna have to format it the long way on the PC each time to make sure you get a GoPro that hopefully doesn't freeze on you. So first of all, that's number one. Once you get your SD card and you know it's the best you can get and you haven't got a cheap brand, you've got to format it. Now you think to yourself, why on earth do I need to format an SD card? I've just bought it, it's fresh out the box. Trust me, do it. You got to format it. And I ain't talking about on your GoPro either. You need to do it on a PC. And I'm not talking about a short format. You need to do the long, full format. And it will take, depending on the size of the SD card, a couple of hours. But do it. Get it completely cleaned and ready to go. So that's the second thing you need to do. Now, once you've got your SD card fully formatted on your PC, you want to format and update the firmware on your GoPro. But don't do it through your camera. This is the key thing here. Use the SD card that you've just formatted, and you want to go onto the DJI website and you want to download that upgrade software directly onto your now cleaned formatted SD card. Do not use your GoPro, because when you update this from the GoPro, the first thing you're going to notice is you think you got the latest software, but actually when you do it through the website, there's a version of the software that wouldn't actually come up when I went through it on the settings. And there was a slide to unlock function, which I didn't have. So I knew I had a newer firmware. So that's the third thing you want to do, is get the firmware for websites.
So with your fully formatted SD card, head over to GoPro. And then simply type up in the little magnifying glass, search there, just type in firmware. Now, this page here, you just basically find your device. So I got a Hero 10. Update your camera using the Quick app. Don't do that because it doesn't work. Do it as I'm doing it, and you're going to get it on your SD card, which, remember, is connected to your PC. So you can see here that the last release date was on May the 23rd. I've already got this one, but I'll do it for the sake of this video. And it's the Hero 10, it's black version 1.62. I tried doing this through the camera and it didn't have the same functions. It didn't have the same slide to release. So choose your operating system. I'm using Windows today. Download the update. Once she's downloaded, only takes a few seconds. So on this page it actually gives you step-by-step instructions. Insert the SD card, which you've done. Find it. Once you've found it, you need to extract it, and that's what this right-hand side image is saying here. So extract it, and just extract it into that same folder. That's all you need to do, so it's not a zip file. Once you got that, you just drag it over to your SD card. So let's do it. So I've downloaded it. So let's go into my download folder. Here it is. So now I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to press extract all. That's fine. We're going to leave it where it is. Right, okay, so with the now extracted files, that's the one without the zip file. Just simply drag it over to your SD card and drop it in. There she goes, moving across. Let's go into my SD card, and that's it. And you will only have that one file on your SD card because you performed a full, clean format. So with this disk now, we want to get that over into the GoPro. So make sure you eject it. I like to do that just to make sure that there's no additional information that's been written. Press eject by right-clicking on your SD card, hitting eject. That should then disappear. So now that's gone from the computer and it's okay to take it out.
Right, so let's remove now my new formatted SD card with the GoPro software on it. Take out the little micro SD. So with your SD card now, with the latest firmware upgrade for your GoPro, you need to know how to put the card into the GoPro. I know what you're thinking, what do you mean, need to know how to put the card in the GoPro? Believe you me, there's a way of doing it. And you have to do it like this. When you go into the side there and you're going to put your SD card, quite often the battery will already be there. Get rid of the battery. Take the battery out. Battery's out. Obviously, GoPro is not on. So with your empty GoPro, with no battery, obviously no SD card, take your formatted, firmware upgraded SD card, okay, and put that in your GoPro first, no battery. Like that. Now, with that in, make sure you got your battery, which is charged, and put that in. Do it that way round. Don't put the SD card in with the battery. Not sure why, but I found it does help big time in terms of preventing your GoPro from freezing. So with your SD card in, then your battery, now you want to upgrade your GoPro with that latest firmware. And when you first turn it on, you're going to see that you have the little gear cog icon because it's actually seen that firmware on the SD card. So let it do its thing. Once the gear icon is gone, that's it. Your GoPro has been updated. You don't actually need to go into any of the settings. It does it automatically, and that's why it's important to clear the SD card to make sure there's nothing on it apart from that update from GoPro websites, and make sure it's non-zipped. It's got to be in its raw format, so just the folder. And to check to make sure you've got it, by the way, when you do it, you need to have at least 20% of the battery. It's actually jumped down a little bit now, but I did have about 25% when I've done that. So make sure your battery's charged before you put the SD card. So you can see there, I've got a slide to unlock. Now I didn't have that before. It's quite a nice feature because it stops accidental presses of the screen. So what to do, slide down from the top, go across, go into preferences, and then just go down to about. Now here, look, if I was to go into GoPro updates, straight away it takes you to the quick app, which is normally what you do via your mobile phone. We've done it the more, I believe, stable way. So prior to that, that's how I used to update my GoPro, and to be honest with you, I'm not going to do it that way anymore because doing it the way I've just showed you is far more stable. If you go into camera information now, you can see at the bottom there we got 01.62, and that, if you remember when I went on the website, was the latest software in May this year, 2024. All you have to do is actually go and perhaps do your own preferences. So if you want the screen to be on at the back and not on at the front, or you want a screensaver, etc., just set it up to how you want. It doesn't take that long, it really doesn't. Connections, you can see that my GPS and my app connectivity is off. That's how I like it. Remember to take off the GPS where it automatically searches and the wireless connection, because unless you're connecting all the time, you just don't need those settings. And I found that that really helped stopping my GoPro freezing. So you do that by going into preferences, and then you go down to regional, and here, look, GPS, switch that off. It goes as default to switch on, so make sure it's off. And then the other one, the app there, is your wireless connection. So I like to go into connections here and just to make sure that is off. I think normally it's defaulted as on. So you should now be ready to start using your GoPro, and you can set it up to how you had it before. So with those extra things that I've just explained to do on how to format the SD card correctly, how to make sure you put it in prior to the battery, etc., turning off the GPS and turning off the Wi-Fi, etc. as well. There's one last thing that you need to remember. Go and use your GoPro as normal. Hopefully, fingers crossed, you'll find it a little bit more responsive. You'll find that it doesn't lag as much. The menus are a little bit more crisp and sharp. But whenever you record something and then you've taken that information and you've now got a file of footage, raw footage that you don't want anymore on your GoPro, what do? You go into it and you press delete and it's gone. But as I'm sure you know, there's always going to be that information left. It just removes what you call the header off your GoPro. So here's the key thing. Get into the habit of formatting the SD card on the PC, doing a long format. You don't want to just do a quick format, and you certainly don't just want to begin deleting things off your GoPro and then thinking you can use it. Because I find these little holes, as in the data on the SD card, where you fully haven't formatted it, that information, that video is still there. The SD card is just going to write over the top of it. So if you've got a video name, which is video 1234, you're deleting it, it removes that, but actually the data's still there. It just keeps writing over the top. Until you completely format that SD card, that can give you problems, and you can get sort of funny holes, if you like, in terms of the data, I believe, on the SD card. So once you've done your filming, once you've got all your raw footage and you're happy with it and it's stored on your computer, take your SD card, do it as I said, format it on the PC, make sure you do a full format, put it back into your GoPro without the battery, SD card first, then the battery, then you turn it on. Keep doing that and you'll find, hopefully, fingers crossed, that your GoPro will run really sweetly. You don't have to keep doing the firmware update, but whenever there is a firmware update, make sure you do it via the SD card through the initial part of the video that I explained. So look, I really hope that helps with some of the pain of you GoPro users out there. As I said, GoPros are lovely when they work, but I found now that they've kind of had their day. I still use my GoPro because it's an expensive bit of kit when I got it. And when it works, it does give really good images, but I just don't have that confidence anymore. Sometimes I will use it if I need that extra shot when I'm doing my filming in and around automotive. But I actually much prefer to use my DJI Osmo because they are incredible and they're so much more reliable. And I'm going to do a video of the comparison between my GoPro 10 and my DJI Action 4 and why I think the Action 4 by DJI is better. Thanks for getting to the end of this video, and thank you so much if you took the time to subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Hope it works. Please let me know in the comments. I'll be really interested to know because I've hardly seen any videos on what I've just explained. I'll see you on the next one.
Let's move on, 'cause it's time to move on.